Hi there. So today we are going to be making a video about a different kind of a red flag. This video is about Colleen Ballinger, and often known as Miranda Sings, and I'm sure you've seen her name floating around on the internet recently, and that is because allegations have come forward where, well, proofs have come forward now, and she has been accused of grooming minors. Now, this is a very important story, I feel, because in this age, this is the age of YouTubers and influencers and social media stars. But what that creates is a parasocial relationship, because these people are also interacting, they're famous people who are also interacting with the average person on social media or on the internet. Which is where the question of boundaries comes in. Now, what is a boundary, right? So first of all, before we get into this, I'm going to explain a few words which are going to make understanding this whole situation easier. And you can sort of apply it in the Pakistani YouTuber industry as well, because Pakistan, though, is way behind, the whole world when it comes to social media, considering that YouTube was banned in Pakistan for a few years there. So we're still not at that place where we understand the repercussions of all these situations. First of all is a parasocial relationship. Now, what is a parasocial relationship? It's a one-sided relationship in which one party extends energy, interest, time, while the other person just exists. Let me explain this with an example. For example, there's a celebrity you like, right? And you're a fan. So that's not a parasocial relationship. But there's the celebrity and you run a fan page of that celebrity. And this celebrity sort of starts talking to you in the messages, right? So this is forming a parasocial relationship because this person has power over you and you are investing all your energy in running this fan page to them. So you're going to try to please them in whatever way possible, right? So this is the basic definition of a parasocial relationship. This whole situation is difficult to handle when you're getting attention from your favorite celebrity, and of course adults even are not able to handle the situation well, and they would sort of, it's likely that they would fall into that trap, right? But what happens with kids, minors especially, is that minors are at risk of grooming. So what is grooming? So grooming basically is a situation in which a person gains access to a potential victim and sort of uses them and abuses their power over them, right? And grooming could be for financial gain, it could be for sexual, often we hear the word sexual grooming, right? So it could be sexual, it could be financial, even the kids who are trained to be suicide bombers, there was that era of suicide bombers as kids, those were also groomed to do so, right? So you can emotionally, mentally manipulate people to do your bidding, basically. So that is grooming. So minors especially are at risk of grooming, which obviously it's a very difficult situation but also kind of delicate. Now we are going to head on into the Colleen Ballinger drama particularly. Now Colleen Ballinger is a content creator for children, right? And she makes satire videos and people love her. She has a following of millions. And what is worrying is that recently when these allegations first came out 3 years ago by Adam McIntyre. Now, Adam's whole situation was that he posted about being like 13, 14 years old and he was a fan, and he posted about this whole situation where Colleen has private group chats where she is talking to minors in an inappropriate way, asking them for weird pictures, sending them pornographic content, which is worrying because of course she was grooming these kids, right? But then we head on to, she also does stand-up comedy. So recently these pictures started surfacing from her stand-up comedy shows where she puts underage girls and boys in weird situations, and it's all very weird. I'm gonna post photos, I guess, but it's all very inappropriate, right? So nobody says anything to her because people love her, and it's just content that people are consuming. So when Adam came out with this, people denounced him, people were mad, they were angry at him, and so started a hate campaign against him. So she used those same children who she was grooming, and so all these children thought they were her friends, right? But they were not. You cannot be friends with somebody when the power dynamic is so weird, right? So when one person has the power and the other is a fan, that's not a friendship, right? So because the one in power can manipulate the one who's a fan. So then it came out that she was trauma dumping on these people. Now, what is trauma dumping? Trauma dumping is when you take your own trauma, you take your personal problems and go out and dump it on this other person, right? So trauma dumping is a very serious issue apparently, because not everybody is equipped to deal with other people's trauma, right? So what you do is you take your own trauma and you give it to the other person. So she was doing this to minors. So during that time she was getting divorced, she was having problems in her marriage, and she was dumping all of this trauma on these minors. At 13, 14, you're not equipped to deal with relationship problems to this degree, right? Which is why often kids of divorced parents end up rebelling against their own parents, because they're not equipped with the emotions to deal with it. So then it just came for it, or when Adam came forward with these allegations, because he was heartbroken. And she also blamed him for things going wrong, and then the hate campaign started, and he was bullied badly. Until recently, when these pictures from stand-up shows and then other people who had been part of it, all these children who were her fans in 2008 and were minors at the time, have started growing up. And when you grow up, oftentimes you realize that, this thing which happened to me probably affected my personality, and it's probably not something which should have happened to me, or which I would do to another child. So when these things started coming out is when people were like, oh, this happened. And then of course there was a lot of stuff, right? There were weird she was asking for weird photos, weird questions, inappropriate, a lot of it, everything, most of it, was inappropriate. And she used these children because she was pretending to be their friend. So see, friendships are two-sided. So both people share things, or both people, talk about their problems. But in this case, she was just talking about her own problems, of course, because these were her fans, they thought they were special. And she used that, and she used these people to spread hate. So she used her fans like an army. And she would, anytime somebody would come out and say something against her, she would rile her fans up and send them after whoever comes forward with whatever thing about Colleen. And these people were just constantly defending her. It was not until one fan, Cody Rance, who's an adult by the way, and she came forward recently with a whole video where she admitted that she was wrong in going after Adam, and they called him a liar, they gave him death threats, it was a whole thing. And she said, I was wrong because I think I instigated that. And she said, I was being used by Colleen as well, and she shows all these text messages and all of that stuff. And I think it's sort of ironic that the person who instigated the whole thing sort of comes forward and exposes Colleen finally. And it was this video that basically broke the camel's back, and Colleen was out. So then Colleen comes up with an apology video, and it's not a serious apology video. It doesn't seem like a serious apology video. She comes with a ukulele and she sits down and she starts singing. And now I want to talk about the specific lines, some specific lines. She says, "I'm not a groomer, just a loser," which is a very dangerous idea to propagate into society, because groomers would just label themselves as losers and try to vindicate and say, I am not doing anything wrong. Next, "not in a creepy way. Yes, I message children. Not in a creepy way, just a loser way," which again, why are you messaging children? You're a 30-year-old. You don't need to be messaging children. There's no need. There's absolutely no need. Next, "at least you're having fun." Now, at least you're having fun, saying at least you're having fun to somebody who's sharing their trauma or their personal problems, or you basically groom them, right? So when somebody is sharing that information, they're not having fun. They were affected emotionally, mentally. They were hurt, right? So it's not fun for them. So it's sad. What are you doing? And we are humans. We all make mistakes. This is again, no, not at 30. And you're blaming. So Adam McIntyre, when this whole hate campaign started against him, he was 17 years old. Now 17 is not old, and he had been Colleen's fan when he was 13, 14, and he had been in those group chats since then. And there are many more people who are coming out with their own stories as well. And then lastly, this one is the most important one. "I didn't realize it was my responsibility to decide what was appropriate for every kid to see." Now, this is a very problematic line, especially when you're marketing yourself as a content creator for children. Like, hello, of course it's your responsibility to know what children should see. So now, when we look back at Miranda Singh's content, which again is a character she based off a disabled person she knows, you realize that her content has always been problematic, because she was racist, she was making fun of people's weights, she was making fun of girls, it was sexist, it was inappropriate on a whole other level. So this sort of summarizes the Colleen Ballinger drama, and I feel like this teaches us something. This teaches us that we need to be drawing boundaries, right? Not just as content creators, but also as audience members, right? So we need to know that if we like somebody, or if we idolize somebody, or if you're a fan of somebody, we have to, know that we have to draw that boundary. We cannot allow another person to manipulate us. We might want them to like us, but that does not mean that.
But we should not be just blindly doing their bidding for them. Sorry, my camera battery died. But I was going through Twitter and people are angry and upset, and rightly so, of course. Colleen Ballinger has treated this whole thing like a joke, which again shows us that she doesn't really care, and she doesn't think there are going to be repercussions to what she has done. I think it's important that all social media stars, celebrities, YouTubers, influencers, all kinds of influencers for that matter, learn from this whole situation and really figure out their own boundaries, because at the end of the day, you are in a position of power, and how you use that power really matters. Manipulating children or even adults to do your bidding is not the way to go, because at some point the whole thing is going to come back to bite you. The example of a local YouTuber does come to mind who makes roasting videos, and his content is extremely inappropriate, right? And he's constantly making sexist jokes, just extremely problematic content. which has also affected his audience, because his audience is now turning the tables right back at him, and all his photographs with his wife are just peppered with these icky, yucky comments by his fans, basically. And it's ironic because it has come back to bite him. And that is what happens. Eventually, your actions are going to, they're going to give you repercussions, right? And you have to face those repercussions. I hope this video was informative, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.